Hey, what's going on YouTube? This is Sever7 and today we are taking a look at the Rike Alien 4. That's the ultimate goal of seeing if it's worth adding to your collection or your daily carry rotation. Now, this was sent in to me by the pass around group, so I do not get to keep it. It will go right back to the pass around group after my review. And this was designed by Richard Wu, the owner of Rike Knife, and it was OEM'd by Rike. Now, jumping right into it, we have a tremendous amount to talk about. So let's just dig right in. So all of the hardware is blue anodized, which adds a nice touch into what is otherwise kind of a bleak aesthetic. We have, so this is seam construction. This is not an integral, right? So this is still two pieces that have been seamed together. You can kind of see the line right down the middle. So it's not an integral, but what's impressive is that all of this was milled out. So it wasn't like they didn't assemble a series of very tiny pieces together, right? This is a two-piece construction. So all of this wasn't like assembled or attached. It was just a block of titanium, and they milled one side out like this, and they milled the other side out like this, which is insane. Because removing this much material, you would almost wonder, like, why not just attach the pieces after the fact? Wouldn't that be easier? And you probably. But the machining complexity on this knife is absolutely insane. This was definitely Rike having a moment and feeling themselves and saying, let's go ahead and do something a little extra epic on top of the already epic things that we normally do. And they didn't just stop there. We've got this alien spine, kind of like a, you can see it's vertebrae. And then we've got this rib cage like milling on both sides. We have this ribbed, for your hand's pleasure, pocket clip. And then we have the bag knives ball to make it in and out of the pocket a lot easier. But overall, yeah, I mean, just not even opening the knife up. I mean, this is just a marvel to behold. We do have a spot for a lanyard, which is kind of cool. It looks like the base of the spine. And then we even have, going down, you follow it down and you find like these little hooks. See what I'm talking about here? It's almost like the end of a tail or like a claw at the end of a tentacle. Very neat looking. And they even give it a little more definition here in the milling to kind of show you like that's where the wrist is, or that's where the appendage ends, and then this, bone or whatever, begins. I do it on both sides, right? They make that a more defined cutoff, which I think is super neat. And this is pretty deep milling. I don't know if you guys can hear that. But you can definitely feel it. It's all smoothed off. It's all like softened. There's no sharp edges or anything like that. Even going up the spine, relatively smooth. No points or anything like that. Let's talk about the ergonomics. So as far as the ergos go, despite how crazy it looks, we have a few recommendations and then just a nice, easy spot for, 2 or 3 fingers to go, depending on how you hold it. I've been holding it both ways pretty comfortably. So you can hold it kind of choked back like this, and you get, I have a full 4-finger grip. I can hammer fist it, and I still have plenty of room to spare. So like really, I could choke back all the way to back here and still have a tremendous amount of room. But just holding it normally like this has been good. I tend to rest my thumb in here. I know that's not what it's meant for, but you can also kind of get up behind one of these, what do I call them? One of the vertebrates, I guess I'll say. You can kind of get up behind one of those and rest a little bit. It's not going to lock you in or anything, but you know, it's kind of nice that it's there. And then if we choke up, still plenty of room, plenty of room. Can still hammer fist it. I have clearance from the tip, right? So even if I push up a little bit, the tip isn't poking me, right? I would really have to drive my hand forward for that to cut into me. This is my preferred position though, because it gives you this entire length for your thumb to rest and do any sort of cutting that you need to. So ergonomically, it, despite what it looks like, it is quite comfortable to use. Now, continuing with the handle, so the blade is one piece, this handle is one piece, and this connector is a piece on its own. And you can take the blade out and swap it. I don't know that they sell these blades individually, so I'm not sure that you're supposed to do that. I think it was just more of a design choice, but somebody who knows more can correct me in the comments. But I do think it's pretty freaking sweet that they have this connector here, because it adds some length and some elegance to it, but also having a moving appendage makes it feel more like it's a creature of some sort, right? Instead of just a moving blade, they have this whole moving appendage. And that's just neat. So as far as the blade goes, it says Damasteel, right? And this is not Damasteel. I think this was like a classic case of, like, everyone says, like, pass me a Kleenex, but Kleenex is a name brand. Tissue is the item. So like Damasteel is a name brand. Damascus is the item. So they put Alien 4 Damasteel, and I think they were just using the word Damasteel as in, like, yeah, we made Damasteel. They did make almost Damasteel, came very close to making Damasteel, but it really should just say Alien 4 Damascus. Now, with that little bit out of the way, this is a very, not perfect mirror, but it's a very high reflectivity, high polish finish. And the Damascus does look fantastic. And this blade is absolutely gorgeous. You're catching, oh, there's, I can see the light bouncing off the smudges I've left on it. Clean that off a little bit. But yeah, I mean, this thing is stunning. Since it's not Damasteel, I don't know what the Damascus is made of. I highly, highly, highly doubt it's like a 9CR, 8CR. I doubt it's like even a 14C, you know, and a Nitro V or whatever. I can't imagine they're cheap steels, just because Rike doesn't really use cheap steels in their designs. So my thought is that it's some sort of like blend of M390 and some other premium steel. Or like M390 in the jacket of, you know, something else. I'm just guessing, though. I could be totally wrong. It could be a 9CR, 10CR type of thing. I have no idea. But I just find that to be highly unlikely. But it's kind of an upswept Persian style blade. But because of the way the handle sits, you're going to be low. Like, your tip is going to be easy to get down to whatever you need to cut, right? You don't have to exaggerate yourself too much. Like right here, I have the tip down, right? That's going to be plenty easy. So while it does have that upswept blade look, because of the geometry of the handle, it's an easy to access tip, easy to access belly, and this is going to function a lot more like a drop point in hand, right? Even though it's not a drop point, it's going to function just like that. And the slicing ability of this has been great. I've had no problem getting through packages, getting through boxes. I haven't done a tremendous amount of testing with it because, to be honest, I don't want to scuff the blade up. But the little bit that I have done with it has been delightful. So clean. I have gotten a few looks whenever I bust it out. A few people looking at me like I just pulled a, oh crap, what are those things called? Oh my God, I already know people are screaming at me in the comments. Fossil. Boom, got it. Looks like I pulled a fossil out of my pocket and attached a blade to it. But yeah, I don't mind the stairs because this thing is absolutely badass. As far as the action goes, we have one means of deployment. And as most people say, if you're going to have one means of deployment, it better be a good one. I can say that this, in fact, is excellent. They tune the flipper just right. The acoustics sound good. We get a nice thunk on the way up and a nice clack on the way down. Now, it's not quite hydraulic. I do have to encourage it a little bit to drop. But this isn't my knife, so I haven't taken it apart to lube it. And I'm sure if I did, I would in fact get the hydraulics I so desperately crave. Man, even whenever I help close it, listen. The acoustics are just so good. Now, it's knives like this that kind of, we don't talk about enough the distinction in action, right? Everyone says there's good action and there's bad action, or there's okay action, whatever. And we know there's a difference between like washers and bearings. But the action on this knife splits the difference between, say, the action on a, we'll say like the action of a Monster. Like this would be better than a Monster as far as action goes. But this would not be as good as like a Hoghouse Valley or a Model T Gen 2, right? The action's incredible, but it kind of creates an in-between between like upper level premium production. It beats out most of those, but it's not to the same level as like the mid-techs or the customs, if that makes sense. So if you're trying to hammer down where this knife sits as far as action goes, the action's incredible. And if you only know production knives, then you'll get this and you'll love it. But if you have mid-techs and customs, you'll still appreciate the action for sure. But it's not going to be to that same level of satisfaction. Now that I'm mentioning it, though, I will say that this is probably the most custom-feeling knife you can buy that doesn't cost the amount of a custom knife, right? Because this does exude some of those custom feels. Yeah, this is just such a great knife. Okay. All right, off my high horse. Let's talk about some specs. So overall, we're looking at 9.05 inches, a blade length of 3.74 inches, and a blade to handle ratio of 0.73. Anything over 0.7 is acceptable. The closer we are to 0.8, the better. But I think this looks perfect. I don't need more blade to handle in this. I think they did a great job. I mean, we have room for a smidge more, but the open profile it just looks fantastic. So I'm perfectly okay with this blade to handle ratio. And then as far as the weight, we're looking at 3.52 ounces. Now for some size comparisons. Up against the third best Civivi ever made, second only to the Visions, the milled aluminum Brazen, and up against the Real Steel Sylph. And we are coming in, I'd say about 2 inches longer than the Brazen, and we're coming in about 2.5, maybe, I'd say about 2.5 inches bigger than the Sylph. The Migaron Gotov is still missing in action. So in its place, we have the Big Idea Design Overlook, which is shorter than just the handle and the attachment of the Alien 4. All right, so what's the price on this bad boy? Well, I'm going to add that this knife actually comes packaged with a pen-shaped tool, which is just as sinister and cool looking. All right, so we have different sizes for like different bits. We have a bottle opener, we have a clip, we have a glass breaker, we have a spot for a lanyard. It definitely matches the aesthetic, and these come as a set. Right, we've got a flathead down here. And for this set, you're looking at $420. Now, that is a ton of money. That's a car payment, right? $420 is not the amount of money that you need to spend if you want a good knife. If you want a good knife, you can pick up this guy right here for about $22. And it will do a fair amount of your daily tasks reliably. I love this little guy. But for people shopping north of $300, $400, those people are looking for some pizzazz. They're looking for some extra. They're looking for some sauce. And this knife absolutely delivers above and beyond anything you would expect at the price point of $420. They could have done just the knife for $420, and I would have said that is a killer freaking deal. They're giving you so much bang for your buck. All of this milling, the Damascus, the creativity, like the thought that went into this, the milling that went into this. But then they go ahead and they throw in this full titanium pen tool. It's not an actual pen, just so you guys know. It's a pen tool. But then they throw that in, and you get a set. Yeah. Normally, a tool like this by itself would cost you $100. $100 for a tool like that. So $420 for this set is an incredible value. I can't think of a better way to spend $420 if you like this aesthetic. Now, if you're looking for raw utility, then, $420, you're a little bit closer to spend a few extra bucks and get a Sebenza, right? That's going to give you beautiful utility with no frills. But if you're looking for something that is a little spicier and a little zestier, and you've got $420 burning a hole in your pocket, right here. This is where you want to be. This is the moneymaker. Can't recommend anything design-wise. So I can't recommend anything at this price point that has this level of meticulousness, this level of machining, and this level of precision. It is absolutely fantastic for its price point. Now, if this thing was $500, then I'd be like, okay, hold on a second. We're getting a little crazy, right? But at $420, yeah, absolutely amazing value. 10 out of 10, would recommend. So, for me, this would be a daily carry, but a very light use daily carry, right? This would be my letter opener, my package opener, right? I would cut through tape. Maybe cut a little bit into boxes. I wouldn't use this as my primary box cutter. This is the type of knife that I would carry, but then I would also have the brazen on me. This would do all of my heavy lifting, and this would do just the little bitty teeny tiny stuff that, just enough of an excuse to pull out of my pocket and show it off. But I would carry it, right? So it wouldn't be a safe queen or anything like that. But let me ask you, let me know down in the comments, is this something that you would carry? Is this something that would be a collection piece for you? Because it could go either way pretty easily. Or does this knife just completely miss the mark for you? Whatever the answer is, please let me know. I'd be curious to hear your answers. And other than that, if you want to support the channel, you know your boy's still unemployed. Although I have an interview on Monday, a promising interview on Monday. I have my Cash App and my PayPal linked in the description. Even just a few bucks here or there definitely helps me out. Otherwise, if you like the content or you found the video educational or entertaining, hit the like button. Please don't forget to subscribe. And until the next time, guys, peace.